Okay, this tutorial is gonna be a little bit longer than 2 minutes because I'm an idiot. Um, I'm gonna make the lightning tutorial that I said last week, but this is not just simply a short video. So first I'm using the usual luminance brush with the white color, and I'm just making my lines to make this lightning shape into my clouds. And as I have said before, it's really important that we use our pressure on our pen, because when we use a little bit more pressure, it's gonna be a little bit brighter and a bit thicker. And then as we go down and farther with the lightning strike has to like kind of die off. So it's gonna be thinner with less pressure that we apply to the screen with our pen. And basically it's just gonna blend into the clouds. Need to speed this thing up a little bit because it takes too long. So after we're done with our first lightning strike, we can make the other one, or I mean, we can make as much as we want, but at the end, how much lightning strike do you want in one animation? In my animation, I'm just making two because I kind of wanna show it to you how easy it is to make an animation with Procreate that looks kind of cool. And let's speed this up as well. And after I'm done with this one, I'm gonna use the airbrush and the same white color to lighten up a little bit my clouds. So that will give us that's the illusion of the lightning striking inside the clouds and around them, and it lights up the whole sky. I'm just using normal big airbrush. This is a little bit too big. I need to resize it. That should be good. So I go around the lightning, and it doesn't matter if it looks ridiculous because we're gonna adjust it later. So I go around it with a smaller one, and then I go around with a bigger one. And because you use airbrush, the airbrush is not gonna be perfectly covering everything, so it's gonna be kind of blending in together. And after that, we just go into the layer mode and adjust our opacity, and that's it. It looks good. And we do the same thing with our other lightning. If you have like 10, just do this thing 10 times and it's gonna be fine. Okay, and then we fasten this thing up as well because we don't have all the time in the world. And the next thing that we're gonna use is selection tool, and specifically the freehand selection tool, because when you just tap on the screen, it's gonna use that spot where you tapped. I tap in the bottom corner of the house, but I mean, you can start anywhere, but I'm just starting there. And I'm going around and just using a small area of the house. You don't have to be perfectly precise. It's gonna look really good anyways. You just have to go around exactly the side of the house and select this much, about this much. I mean, it depends if it's a house or if it's other build or if it's a rock that you want to light up with your lightning. It doesn't matter, it's the same thing. And then you just fill the whole thing up with white and adjust the opacity, because that's also important that you see a little bit of the house or whatever the subject is. And on the same layer, you can do the same thing to all the other things on your screen. So I'm going to do the same thing with this house as well. Okay, I'm gonna speed this thing up as well, because why did I say fasten it up? Like, that's not even, whatever, fine. So I speed this thing up, and I did a little bit of lightning effect on the tree as well, and that's about it. And my next thing to do is to make a bunch of duplications of my base, which is the background with the houses and the sky and everything else. So I'm gonna flatten that whole group and make a bunch of duplication and make a bunch of duplicated layers. I'm not sure how many I need now, but we'll see. And then start merging stuff together. Like, I make a duplication of this one where I made the outline of the houses for the lightning, and I'm gonna put them appropriately far away from each other between the copies. And that's important because every copy that you see is gonna be a frame. So now you kind of have to think like if you were making a movie or something, because this is technically an animation. And after I'm merging everything together, one layer is gonna be one frame. And when you merge things together, it's really important to think like, okay, what do I need? I need a lightning strike, I need the outline light of the lightning, and when I have the lightning, I also need to be lit. And when I have the lightning on screen, I mean, I also need to light up the houses as well. That's why I did the outlines with white. So I have to merge all of these together, and then that gives me one frame. So after you have your layers where you have your lightnings, all the backlights are on the houses or your subject, you kind of need one more thing. You need to light up the sky in some other frames where there is no lightning, no nothing. And this is important because when you see a lightning storm, it's not just a lightning flash. Sometimes you don't see the actual lightning, but you see the sky light up. And maybe you hear the thunder, but nothing else. So I'm using these in separate layers where I didn't put any lightning or anything at all, like no effects, nothing. And I use a little bit brighter one and I use a less bright one. And the brighter one is gonna have the outlines around the subjects the same way the lightning had. But because this is just a little bit of flash on the sky, the outlines has to be a little bit less obvious. So the opacity, instead of like 79, is gonna be about 30% or so. And then after you finished with all your layers, the only thing that's left to do is the save of the file, like saving the file. And you just need to keep in mind one thing. You need to keep checking your frames per second, because that's gonna give you the appropriate timing for the lightning. And this is what it's gonna look like. I'm just gonna save this and then show it to you. Thanks for watching me editing this thing, and if you liked it, you can subscribe, share, whatever you need, or check out other videos that I have. Bye!